What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on this brisk Monday in the River City with Dan Courtwright. I'm Sean Kellerman. Got a lot to get to today. Exciting weekend that was. Dan, couple Dylan Sunflower Showdown dubs.
That's right. It was a sunflower sweep, as I dubbed it on social media. KU beats K-State out in Manhattan. I was there at the game. What a dump that place is.
Yikes.
No, it's not horrible, but the drive out there sucked. The roads were awful. I-70 wasn't terrible. They had like one lane that was paved, so I was going like 55-ish, I think max 60 on the way out because it was all paved. Then you get into Manhattan. The city of Manhattan just did absolutely nothing with their roads. I got stuck on a hill going to Bramlage. I had to turn left by like I don't know roads in Manhattan. I know I was on the road with the Vista Burger, and then I had to turn left to try to get onto campus. Went up this hill, couldn't get up because the truck that I was in does not have four-wheel drive. Now, if you were a truck manufacturer, would you ever make a truck without four-wheel drive?
That's the first I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense, but I just so happen to have the one truck in the world that does not have four-wheel drive. So I was going up this hill, completely tire spinning, and it was a busy road too, so I had to flip it in reverse and throw my hazards on and backed up like maybe 200, 300 yards all the way down this hill. People were going around me. I had to back up. There's a gas station at the bottom of the hill. I had to pull around and then go all the way around. It was not fun. And then on the way back was just a nightmare.
Great coverage, though, of all things
Thank
KU.
you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the way back, I was just white-knuckling the whole time. Got back around like 1 o'clock. It was supposed to be like an hour-and-a-half drive. Wound up taking me like 2.5, almost 3 hours to get home.
Man,
so,
tough.
It was tough. Didn't have I probably should have, probably poor planning on my part. I probably should have got a hotel, but I did not. And I was like, no, I'm going to get home. I'll be fine. And then,
yeah, well, you had to get to the Kansas women's game the next day.
That's right.
KU against K-State, which was
By the
another
way,
drubbing.
The biggest win, we'll talk more about it probably tomorrow, but the biggest win over K-State since 1994.
Yeah, 22-point victory for the women, 24-point victory for the men. It was closer throughout, but we're going to break that down here in the opening segment. KU over K-State, 86-62. Next segment, we're going to be joined by Kevin Flaherty via Zoom. He's going to talk all things KU basketball, give his take as well. He comes to us from the Kansas City Sports Network. Following that, we're going to hear from Melvin Council and Elmarko Jackson. They were at the podium. Couple players who really showed out for Kansas in a game where a lot of individuals played really well. They were at the podium post-game, and obviously some auxiliary storylines on that front as well. Then we have our Case of the Mondays segment, take you around the world of sports before we hear from the Hall of Fame head basketball coach, Bill Self. And then we close things out talking Super Bowl preview, right?
Yeah.
Recap the AFC, NFC championship games.
First time in a long time. First time that we've been working together where we've previewed a Super Bowl and the Chiefs have not been in it.
No, it's a real bummer. College basketball game picks as well. Not a great slate tonight, but Louisville, Duke, and Arizona, BYU. Couple of notes on the Big 12. Arizona, they're 7-0. They're 20-0 to start the season. But if you look closer at their schedule, it's about to get tough. We know it's about to get tougher for Kansas on paper, but Arizona, they have not had the most difficult Big 12 schedule. Yeah, there's some losses coming for the Wildcats, but we'll let you know about that. First, we want to tell you about some new partners that we have here at Kansas Nation. Central Bank. There's certain energy that we know comes with Jayhawk basketball, with the crowd rising together, the band playing, and waving the wheat. You can't beat it. Yeah. It's a tradition that represents pride, unity, and Jayhawk spirit. Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. It's a tradition that continues when the game ends. Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card. Those are always slick-looking cards.
Yeah, those are cool.
Simple way to show school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. They're a proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas. Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. If you're ready to wave the wheat beyond the stands, learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. Appreciate their partnership with us over here at Kansas Nation. Central Bank. All right, let's break down this Dylan Sunflower Showdown victory. Dan, there's a lot of storylines. KU wins 86-62. I'm going to kind of go through the game. Before getting too deep into the weeds, just give us your initial reaction to Kansas getting this win.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the better closeouts I think that we've seen this year, right? K-State got off to an incredibly hot start. Andre Kostic, Andre Kostic came off the bench wearing number 47, by the way. This is something that, just a complete side note, this is something we talked about. 47 on a basketball court is probably the most disgusting number I've ever seen.
Karolinko, he was also 47. Andre Karolinko. I got to think that's why he's doing it.
Yeah, but it's still a gross number.
Well, yeah.
It's not a good number to wear. It's not even a good number in football. I think it's one of the worst numbers you can wear. But
just saying,
Andre
Kostic, AK-47 was the nickname of Karolinko.
True.
So who knows?
That's true. AK-47. I guess that makes sense. That's a cool nickname, I suppose. But he played 22 minutes. He came off the bench and went 4 for 4 from the 3-point line right away, and just made sure the K-State was in it.
It was a classic recipe for an upset for KU on the road, right? Some guy who has hit 9 threes all season comes in and hits his first 4.
Sinks 4 right away. All of a sudden, KU, they're up by 2. I think they might have tied it at one point, and it was just not looking good. And the hostile environment of the Octagon of Doom or the Octagon of Room, I guess you could say. It was a packed house, some empty seats, but you'd probably expect that with the weather that we were having. But yeah, I mean, you felt Kansas kind of getting on their heels a little bit, but they also had a lot of answers for a lot of those as well. And they were doing a lot of really good stuff down low. They had 46 points in the paint. You saw Bryson having probably his best game, I think, of the year in terms of just the way that he played. Maybe not stat line wise, but I think Bryson looked fantastic. Flaherty Dunga was great as well. A lot of his points came late, but I really liked what Flaherty was doing down low. Dorian Buka, he was a little bit of a problem down low for Flory to kind of start the game. I mean, you could just see the battle down low, and he was just a little bit taller, a little bit lankier, and just a little bit bigger than Flory Bidunga. I think Flory kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, and then you saw him really, really getting kind of back into Flory Bidunga's shape throughout the game. You saw the posterizing dunk. You saw a lot of rebounds coming from those guys. So, again, it was a really good game by the bigs down low. I think that was probably the biggest takeaway is that, and I think I might have said this, you got to win down low, and you certainly did. Flory went 10 for 13 from the field. He had 21 points, 10 rebounds. Bryson Tiller, he wound up with 16 points in this game, 7 rebounds too. So, and Bryson got off to a hot start as well. So overall, like I said, I think this is the biggest closeout that I've seen out of a Kansas team probably the last 3 years, because you looked at kind of where this game was going. All of a sudden, halftime was a little bit closer than you probably wanted it to be all throughout that first half. Second half rolls around, Kansas just completely flipped a switch, and K-State wasn't hitting their shots either. I think that was a big key to it as well. I think if you look in the second half, K-State only shot 33% from the field. They shot 35% from the field in the first half, but also went 8 for 19 from the 3-point line. But in the second half, Kansas really held them, and they weren't hitting their shots, and you saw that domination kind of come to. You saw Elmarko Jackson come off the bench, score 19 points, his career high. An incredible performance by Elmarko, hitting some big-time threes, making some awesome shots. Melvin Council, just an absolute dog. He was on triple-double watch. I mean, he wound up, what did he have in this game?
7 boards.
7 boards in this game. So he wound up with 17 points, 12 assists, and 7 boards. So 3 more rebounds. He would have had the first triple-double since Kevin Culler, I believe, back in, 2023, 2024, somewhere around there. So, just an excellent job by everyone all around. And, you loved the fire and the passion that you had. I think Bill Self on the sideline, I mean, I could see it from the stands. He was getting fired up there towards the end, and he was like pumping his fists and yelling, and it was good to see Bill Self, because obviously these games mean something to him, especially after coming off of a 3-game losing streak back-to-back years of not winning out there in Bramlage. I think you saw that out of Bill Self. You saw the fire, the passion, the happiness out of him after beating them by 24 points. You saw Melvin Council and a lot of these different guys celebrating at the end of the game. Melvin was doing the old Wabash cannonball. I thought that was fantastic. And then the steal at the end when Trey White go ahead and finishes off that dunk. You love to see it, because I think maybe 10 years ago you wouldn't see Bill Self doing that because it's, kind of strictly business, that kind of thing. But Bill Self kind of let a little loose and, was really, really enjoying this win, I think. And, it's always good to go out there and beat up on the little brother. And, Kansas was just a better team.
Yeah, Kansas has beaten up on the little brother 204 times, which is
So
more.
Is that so?
204 is the official. I've seen 207 as well.
That's the thing, and
But,
I actually had somebody reach out to me
go
because
upwards
I said
of 200.
Yes, upwards of 200
Yeah,
times, more than any other team has ever beat any other team in NCAA history. By the way.
People can argue about that, but yeah. Coach Self, when asked about it post-game, said he was so happy. He was showing the emotion because he felt like we were playing like we're supposed to play.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to get back to what you said about the closeout, but kind of recapping the 4 road games that Kansas has had so far in Big 12 play. Kansas has scored in all of them.
Yeah.
They scored. And they score 86 in this one after scoring 75 in the previous 3 road games. Man, that's plenty of points. And they held K-State to 62. And to your point about the closeout, KU ends this game on a 27-7 run. It was 59-55 after Haggerty hit a tough step-back 3. And he ends up doing pretty much exactly what we thought. He gets 23 on 17 shots. He's going to score. It's going to take a lot. And if we're completely honest with ourselves, K-State does have a depleted roster. I mean, you mentioned Kostic, and certainly Marcus Johnson got some run. He isn't somebody who plays a lot.
No.
And Abdi Bashir was out. Kamari McGriff was out. So there's that. Kansas also, for what it's worth, didn't have Darren Peterson. So Kansas had to get it done, and they did. What was so impressive to me, and we'll kind of go through this game, is that Kansas had an answer for K-State. In the losses at UCF and West Virginia, KU let some things get away from them, and they weren't able to answer. Now, they did answer against TCU at home, which would have, in hindsight, been just absolutely disastrous. Who knows where Kansas would be right now, but they were that close to starting 0-3 in Big 12 play, down by 11 with 3 minutes left. Down by 9 with just over a minute left, and somehow they won. But more on that a different day. Kansas started out strong with Bryson Tiller. Tiller hits his first 5 shots, and he was kind of the best thing Kansas had offensively to start. Doran Buka, 6 offensive rebounds by the time the second media timeout had come. He was killing KU. Not the most talented player, but he is big, to your point, and he does attack the glass.
Yeah.
Kostic came in. He hits back-to-back threes, and Kansas quickly answers with a Melvin Council floater. Kostic hits another 3. All of a sudden, he's 3 out of 3. KU answers. Elmarko Jackson with a short jumper. KU then gets an alley-oop from Council to Tiller to make it 23-19. Kostic hits another 3, 23-22. That's K-State's offense. And I do, as I've said many times, believe in the law of averages. I knew it wasn't going to keep up, but at the same time, we got to stop this kid from hitting so many threes.
Right. And
on that 4th one, it was answered again by Kansas when Elmarko Jackson had a take and one. He had a couple nice answers. KU was up 26-22. KU would go down 28-26, but then after a Melvin Council free throw, Council would then get a tough land to go up 29-28. KU would hit a couple free throws, and I want to mention that too. Kansas 20 of 24 from the line. They're on pace to have the best free throw shooting year in KU basketball history. Those guys can get it done from the stripe, and that's important. I know people like to talk about that when free throws don't go in. Well, let's talk about it when they do go in and guys execute. Council, a floater, made it 37-33. Haggerty gets a basket before the break, and it's 37-35. KU has a 2-point lead at the break, and you're kind of thinking, Kansas is shooting 56%. They should be up by more than 2. K-State 35%, but K-State hit 8 threes, and Kansas only had 1. And Kansas, on the flip side, dominated K-State in the paint, 24-8. Much of the same in the second half, but again, KU neutralized the 3-point basket. Get into the second half, Kansas starts hot. Flory Bidunga inside gets a great seal, and he was deep to make it 39-35. A couple Trey White trips to the line results in 4 points. And then a little 10-2 Kansas run is finished off when Flory has a great play at 45-39, gets the offensive rebound. Jamari McDowell has the ball in the corner, somehow gets it back to Flory, and he rolls to the basket and makes it 47-39. Tang gets teed up. White hits 2 more free throws. Just casual. Trey White goes to the line. Bang, bang.
Yeah,
49,
huge.
39. And then K-State didn't go away. A little 5-0 run. Haggerty got going as you thought he would in the second half. But Council, unguarded, hits a 3 to make it 52-44. And KU has a little bit of separation. Kansas then makes it 59-50 when Elmarko Jackson, a guy who at times has struggled making shots that would be, at least in the moment, big shots or would feel big. He hits a big 3 in transition to make it 59-50. And then I have a note under this that I want to touch on a little bit more. Flory defensively defending their guards was massive. Kansas gets a stop. K-State then scores 5 in a row, Haggerty 2 at the line, and then the step back 3 that I mentioned to make it 59-55. 3 out of 4 free throws for Kansas extends it to 7. Flory a spin and score. KU's up by 9. Council and 1, 67-55 with 5.5 to go. Tang calls a timeout. That's KU's biggest lead at 12. And then it just really gets away. I mean, it was child's play down the stretch. Bidunga ends up finishing 3 alley-oops from Melvin Council down the stretch. Elmarko hits another big 3. Elmarko had to take off the glass. And then we mentioned, and we'll talk about this, Bryson Tiller rebounding, making it 84-62, and then White dunks and finishes it off at 86-62. 27-7 run. That's what it was for Kansas. The answer, the closing of a game. Kansas is now 15-5 and 5-2. There are so many great things to look at from an individual standpoint in this game. Only bad was Jamari McDowell. He was 0 for 5 from the field in this one. Everybody else really showed out. You mentioned Council, 17, 12 assists and 1 turnover
I know.
in a hostile environment.
That's unbelievable.
This kid is just not phased. He is not phased. It's got to be the most hostile environment he's gone into in his career.
What animal would you compare him to?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'll let you know by the end of the show if I think of one.
Okay.
But Council, yeah, I mean, I talked about it before. Not a guy who's ever judged, maybe a guy who's judged less by his field goal percentage than any player in KU history because KU fans are smart and they understand everything that he brings. Still wasn't terrible, 7 of 16. But again, 12 assists and 1 turnover. I mean, it's not just the clutch scoring. It's not just the alley-oops. It's not just the defense. It's also the point guard being on the ball so often, and particularly a game you didn't have Peterson. 12 assists and 1 turnover. I mean, that's DeJuan Harris type assist to turnover, best game of DeJuan Harris' career, but also Council is scoring and being such a contributor on that end. White has 13. He hits all 6 of his free throws, but Tiller mentioned 16. He was so big early, scoring 10 points for Kansas. And again, you can highlight so many people. Elmarko's career, 19. He hits all 7 of his free throws, 5
huge.
boards as well. But as much as we talk about those other guys, and maybe indeed Elmarko or Melvin's the player of the game, I got to highlight Bidunga. 21 and 10 and 3 blocks. And what was most impressive to me in this game wasn't any of that. It's Flory's ability to defend, and he's showing his ceiling defensively as only a sophomore. How many times did Haggerty or one of the other K-State guards, Nate Johnson, Taj Manning, David Castillo, drive, and they couldn't get around Flory? I mean, that's Udoka Azubuike stuff. When Azubuike could guard 1 through 5, and he wouldn't go for a shot fake. That's how it was for Bidunga. He's not going for the shot fake. He's staying down. The guards all of a sudden are lost. And then if they're able to get a shot up, Flory's going to reject it. I mean, he's just so special. And again, you're seeing him continue to improve. I know that we don't like using that word sometimes in the media or when we break down, like improve. Guys are allowed to improve. It's like you're not just who you are. And Bidunga has improved in a lot of different ways. I mentioned offensively, he was able to have the deep seal. We know that he's shown an ability recently to roll to the basket. He obviously has the monstrous dunks as well, but he's getting better on the offensive end, I think, being stronger in the post. And then he's becoming an elite defensive player as well, not just because of his ability to protect the rim, but his ability to guard 1 through 5 and do so effectively. That just was so special. And again, you got to have him on the court. What a contributor he has become on both sides. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick a player of the game or anything like this when so many guys showed out. But Kansas ends up winning by 24. And honestly, you saw who K-State was throwing out there, the lack of experience that they had, and you think, okay, you can't really lose this game. No disrespect
Right.
to the guys that were out there for K-State.
Yeah.
But to their credit, they had Kostic come in and hit 4 threes. He doesn't normally do that. They had a couple other contributors who maybe don't contribute as much, but still, Kansas had more dudes than K-State, and we'll talk about some of the other
100%.
storylines as well. But a blowout win and a lot of positives.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, I think it's completely understated how big of an impact Flaherty Bidunga had in this game. 3 blocks, like you said, 10 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds, 21 points. And and a lot of those came later in the game, right? I mean, you saw early, like I said, he kind of struggled with Dorian Buka, but Kansas, from what I saw, they were switching 5 a little bit in this game. There were moments where all of a sudden you saw Melvin Council or Elmarko Jackson being posted up by Dorian Buka, and they weren't giving him the ball because Flaherty was doing such a good job on the switch guarding the guards, right? So you know how incredible that is to have a 6'10" guy who's able to guard 1 through 5 and not allow those post touches and get a hand in some guys' faces whenever they're going to be shooting a 3. That is something that you hope and pray for in the offseason, to be able to get a guy like that. Kansas has that. And it is weird to say that Flaherty Bidunga is improving because you want him to be essentially the number 2 guy, but he is improving and he's getting better, and it's going to be scary at the end of the year how good Flaherty Bidunga actually is. Hopefully, selfishly, I hope he doesn't get good enough to where he gets drafted in the NBA draft and he's able to stay next year. I think that would be obviously incredible. That's a selfish thing for me, but obviously he is at the point where I think that he is going to be getting some NBA looks, and that's the perfect kind of guy to have, especially playing the 4. He needs to obviously, get his mid-range jumper and maybe the outside shot a little bit better in order for him to make an impact on the court like that in the NBA. But like you said, some of the other storylines. Jamar McDowell started this game and just was really a non-factor. He played 23 minutes, 0 points. I believe his plus-minus was -1. Right away, they put in Elmarko. Elmarko had a career game. He played 27 minutes, had 19 points, a career high, 7 for 7 from the free throw line, 2 for 3 from the three-point line. And like you said, both of those threes, at least one of them, was absolutely huge to be able to extend that lead. And that's really the beginning of that last Kansas run where they just pulled away. It was a relatively close game up until that point. It was in the 50s, and then all of a sudden Kansas just flies ahead. And, that was a big thanks to Elmarko. Elmarko on the defensive end of the ball was fantastic as well. I mean, there's not enough to be said about the impact of Elmarko Jackson. And Kansas did it without Darren Peterson. I understand K-State didn't have Abdi Bashir or Kamari McGriff, 2 of their best players. But Kansas didn't have the number 1 NBA draft pick for next year out there, and they had other guys be able to step up. They had Elmarko Jackson put up 19. They had Melvin put up 17. Trey White wasn't great in this game. He wound up with 13 points, but that was, kind of to be expected, I guess. But still, you had different guys be able to step up. And then most importantly, you had your presumptive number 2 guy in Flaherty Bidunga just be that dominant man that he is.
Yeah, he was awesome. And KU, despite only hitting 4 threes, 4 of 16, and K-State hitting 10, which only 2 were in the second half, they get it done running away with it. 46-18 in the paint, and it wasn't just Bidunga and Tiller. I mean, Council, as we've seen countless times, finds a way to get those floaters to drop. And again, you got to credit Elmarko. Those guys had answers, which it's amazing how much better we feel than 2 weeks ago after we lost to West Virginia. I remember watching the West Virginia game here in the Kansas Nation studios, like, what's going on? And you heard Bill Self, if you remember the post-game press conference against West Virginia, he said, we suck right now. Right?
Yeah.
Well, we don't suck anymore, Dan. No. Now there's a lot of work to be done, but Kansas, realistically, as I've said, go back to that day. You looked at the schedule, you got to win the next 4, and they got it
100%.
done. So here you are at 5-2, and Kansas is very much in the conversation. And now, yes, while it gets more difficult, it also means there's a lot of opportunity ahead for Kansas as they blow out the Cats in the Sunflower Showdown.
I was going to say, I think this stretch of days where you don't have a game is not, there's no better time for it to come, right? You're coming off of, an excellent stretch of games for Kansas as they started off 1-2. All of a sudden they're 5-2 right now. You're looking at this thinking, man, you got a week until you play BYU and AJ DeBonsa and Richie Saunders and just a packed room at BYU of just dominant guys. It's going to be in Allen Fieldhouse. You have some time to be able to rest up. And I think it's important for Darren Peterson because Darren Peterson obviously dealing with that sprained ankle. Nobody likes sprained ankles. They're horrible to deal with. So that's just giving him time to really be able to rest up and get that better to be able to play in this BYU game. If Kansas would have won this K-State game by, 8 points, I don't think I'm feeling as good right now. But since they beat them by 24, since they went out and beat Colorado on the road, since they beat Iowa State and Baylor, right? You have this stretch of games that Kansas was able to string together in terms of wins, and the way that they won these games makes you feel really confident going into this BYU game.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was saying to David when it looked like Kansas was going to close this out, I said, I bet Coach Self says at some point with Gurley or at the podium, now the real season starts or something. And I don't know if he actually said that verbatim, but that's kind of to your point. Now you get a chance to rest up. It's grind week for guys like us in terms of there's no midweek game. And, it's a cold last week of January, that sort of thing, but kind of a reset button as each team has this week in between games. And then BYU College Game Day coming up Saturday. That's going to be massive. And we're going to look ahead at Kansas' schedule. At the time of recording this show, we don't know exactly where Kansas is in the AP poll. That'll come out a little bit later, and we'll let you know. But obviously on the rise are the Jayhawks. And you look at the Big 12 standings, Kansas, again, along with the other 5 teams in the preseason top 6 right there. KU and Iowa State are 5-2. Houston and BYU are 5-1. And then Arizona is 7-0 and Texas Tech is 6-1. The interesting thing about BYU is they got to play Arizona tonight. Yeah. So Kansas can kind of sit back and watch that and not have a midweek game. So they'll have a little bit more rest. The unfortunate thing for Kansas is that you've got the Saturday, Monday, Big Monday turnaround coming up, and also you have to travel on Sunday. So big 3 days coming up for Kansas beginning on Saturday when BYU comes to town. And I'm going to have the same mindset, and everybody out there knows that this is my mindset, that you're at home. You need to win.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is.
Absolutely.
I got no idea if Kansas is going to be looked at as the favorite. Hopefully Peterson is back so fans can get what they want, which is the Peterson-DeBonsa matchup. But a lot of great players on this Jayhawk squad, and you mentioned some other really good players for BYU as well. They've got Rob Wright. They've got Keba Keita.
Yeah.
So it's going to be talented. But I hope everybody has enjoyed this one, and I enjoyed the Melvin Council Wabash Cannonball as well.
I loved it.
And then the weird thing in the handshake line with Jerome Tang.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but something happened. There was it's not something that people made up. You could see on video. Everything's on video now.
Right.
Something happened, and that's just elementary move by Coach Tang, in my opinion. And again, the same people who are complaining about Council's Wabash Cannonball are the same ones chanting FKU.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah,
I don't want to hear
what
it.
A colossal thing by Melvin Council.
Are you kidding me?
Dude, I saw
You're
a
either the same
6-year-old saying FKU. Like it's just not.
You're either the same ones who are doing that, or you're not saying that that's classless and ignoring that. And then Council does a little dance on midcourt after being berated all day by the fans, and all of a sudden it's a problem. I mean, your feelings are hurt. It's awful.
In the arena, there was a lot of not only FKU chants, but also F Jerome Tang people.
Oh, really?
They when Jerome Tang was introduced, you heard some boo birds.
Yeah. Well, K-State 10-10, 1-6 in conference play. And on the flip side, winning helps everything. Kansas, they're feeling great at 15-5, 5-2 in conference play. BYU coming to town on Saturday. After this, we're going to be joined by Kevin Flaherty. He'll break this one down. Kansas City Sports Network's own. After this on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here at KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. We're going to be joined now by Kevin Flaherty from the Kansas City Sports Network via Zoom. Kevin, thanks for making the time for us again. I got to ask you about the game, of course, on Saturday. But first, your thoughts on Melvin Council's little shimmy and shake Wabash Cannonball at the end of that one as KU ran away with it.
You know, the Wabash and then the ensuing belt in the locker room, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's a funny thing, guys, in that I totally get where he's coming from, and I love emotion in rivalry games and the way that can play out. I think Melvin Council, maybe more than any player that I can remember in college basketball, has fully embraced his new home. And, you heard him talk about it before they played Missouri. He seemed like a guy who had been in Kansas's locker room, for the previous 4 years and understood the Missouri rivalry, even though he'd never played in it before. And this is one he talked about having to watch the previous games, the fact that obviously you're in there, it's a really hostile environment, you're getting, FKU chants and all of those things. I don't have any problem with him turning up and getting excited like that. Enjoyed watching Trey White, dunk the ball and everything. It did feel a little bit though, and I'm not trying to incite violence or anything, but it did feel like some previous K-State teams, you might have had a problem doing something like that. Like there might have been an emotional response more than there really was. Instead, it was just sort of like, well, I guess he just waboshed on our court type of deal. But it was great to watch it, and you love the intensity and the way that Melvin Council works and plays. And there's a reason that guy is such a fan favorite, even though he's only been here, 8 months or whatever. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I wish we had him more than a year because he really has become a fan favorite. And I've said often on the show, no player that I remember at KU has ever been judged less by field goal percentage than Melvin Council because he does so many other things well, and it's just a fan favorite. And yeah, I mean, 12 assists, 1 turnover, too. So many things to like. KU closed it out after K-State had cut it to 4 on that Haggerty 3. Kevin, a 27-7 run to end it, which was good to see when a couple opposing runs have gotten away from Kansas in the past. What did you like down the stretch?
Yeah, I loved the way that they played offense for most of the game, right? It was a team in Kansas State that wasn't great defensively, but was really bad on the interior defensively. And other than a few shots here and there, I thought the decision making was really good. They got the ball into dangerous spots. Obviously, Bryson Tiller got off to the great start on the interior. You saw Flory start to score a lot more on the interior. And that was the thing down the stretch was we talked after the UConn game and the fact that Darren Peterson didn't play in that one as well. And in the final 5 minutes, UConn got a couple great shots and KU just didn't. And that was probably the difference in who won that game. In this one, Kansas grounded out and got good look, good look, good look, good look. And Kansas State really didn't. And that was a big part of the reason that they won. Offense, yeah, you're going to look great when you're hitting everything. But for the most part, it's a process driven thing of trying to generate good shots. And that was something that Kansas did against K State in general, but really did down the stretch and getting the ball into dangerous spots and then converting those spots.
Yeah, and obviously, I said this in the opening segment. Probably the best closeout of a game that I've seen Kansas have, maybe in the last 3 years. And a big part of that was because of the bigs, right? You had Bryson Tiller, who was fantastic in this game, probably his best game of the year so far. And then Flaherty doing good, putting up 21 and 10 with 3 blocked shots as well. What did you like out of the big guys down low after? Flory kind of struggled a little bit early there with Dorian Buka and, Taj Manning. They were kind of shutting him down, and all of a sudden we saw them become dominant.
Yeah, Bryson Tiller was terrific early on and wound up having a really nice game in general. And guys, if this was 20 years ago, we would be raving about Bryson Tiller at this point because we would say, man, by the time he's a sophomore or junior, this guy's going to be an All American. You're going to run your whole team through him. He is going to be the foundation of what you're building. He is such a great freshman. And we just expect so much from those guys now in their first year. And if a guy has, a little bit of the roller coaster that you're used to seeing from freshmen, it's looked at as a negative thing as opposed to, hey, that's what's supposed to happen when a guy is really talented. And so to see him play that well in that kind of game was huge. He scored in different ways, which was nice to see. And then down the stretch, I mean, Flory was terrific defensively all game. He shuts opposing teams' water off at the rim in a way that Kansas maybe hasn't had at least since Udoka Azubuike, but maybe even further back to a guy like Jeff Withey. It's amazing to watch. And when you add in the agility and the fact that, he was a big part of the reason PJ Haggerty didn't get off to a good start because they get the mismatch in quotations that they wanted, and Haggerty would drive Flory, and Flory would still be right there to contest or block a shot. When you started seeing him get one, some of the tough buckets that he got, but then two, when the guards were able to get into the lane a little bit with Melvin Council and Elmarko Jackson, and he was in that dunker spot a few times to finish off plays. That's what Flory should be. He should be a play finisher, and he did a terrific job. And I think every time you play a team that doesn't have a great five, that's what you hope you can get from Flory, and he's been playing really well lately.
Man, he's been awesome. And again, just the improvement ability to guard 1 through 5. I mean, we probably all expected Flory to be this dominant big from the jump, just because again, that's today's day and age of, you expect him to be amazing, and he and Peterson, they're going to be the 1-2 punch and all that. It's like guys can still improve, and we're seeing that with Flory. Yep. And what a weapon that not a lot of teams have, particularly defensively, with Flory and everything he can bring to the table. Kevin Flaherty, Kansas City Sports Network, joins us. Kevin, there's a lot of individuals we can ask you about from this game, but maybe what struck me the most in just thinking about this game the last couple days is that Kansas didn't have Darren Peterson, and it seemed like they didn't miss a beat. How different is that than what it was earlier, whether with or without Peterson? Kansas was having to figure out who they were. And obviously Kansas is better with Peterson, and they're going to need him on Saturday against BYU. But if you know what I'm saying, it's just they got all this experience in the non-con without DP. And then he came back and it was a little choppy. And then it was, okay, how do we play with him? How do we play without him? And it was like, okay, well, he's just not one of the 5 on the court right now. So what are we going to do with the 5 we have on the court now? And it just seemed like they didn't miss a beat. Obviously, KU's better with Peterson, but there was no hesitation, and perhaps all that experience indeed in the non-con helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And they executed at a really high level, and they executed on both ends at a really high level. When you look at defensively, it's tough when you're sending guys at Haggerty the way that they did to then get into quote unquote scramble drill, relocate your guys. And they got burned a couple times early when Kostic is making shots and things like that. But they tightened that up pretty well. And when you look at offensively, we talked about earlier in the year, it felt like you had guys going 1-on-5 at times where they weren't playing through each other. The ball wasn't really moving. Bill Self likes to see the ball hit that third side, right? With the way that you reverse it around, and that enables you to get the ball into the post. I'm not sure that it hit the first side on a lot of possessions earlier this year. The ball movement was so much better. Guys were playing with so much more confidence. I think Elmarko Jackson is finding the right balance between, against Tennessee, he was just totally attack minded and went after the rim. And there were some games after that where he kind of used that to his advantage to play distributor, where he wasn't scoring, but he was getting the ball into the lane, kicking it out to guys. And then what you saw against K-State was maybe his best offensive game yet, where it felt like he just attacked what was there for him. And I think you're starting to see that with different guys. Melvin Council isn't forcing as much. Trey White isn't forcing maybe as much. They got the ball into Bryson Tiller and Flory in tough spots. And even a guy like Jamari McDowell, who had, not a great game, was in the right spots to get good shots. He just didn't knock them down. And so it felt like they were playing as a team, which earlier this year, when they were trying to figure things out, they were attacking things more as individuals. And it was a great thing to see.
Kevin Flaherty, KCSN, joins the show via Zoom. Kevin, wanted to talk to you just about this upcoming week. As KU don't play a midweek game, all of a sudden you got College game day. BYU's coming to town, a really just dominant and impressive squad over there out in Provo with Richie Saunders and AJ DeBonsa and Rob Wright, obviously. How important is it, do you think, that Kansas kind of has this off week? And are you kind of looking at this as kind of the start of the new season where Kansas has this stretch and all of a sudden we know how much of a gauntlet February is? Just talk about how important you think that this bye week, I guess, is the one way you could say it, heading into this BYU game. And let me know, like, what do you know about BYU in terms of, just how good they are, how KU matches up against them?
Yeah, it's huge if for no other reason than some guy named Darren Peterson's ankle, right?
Right.
And you're wanting him to get healthy, and you're coming off of a game that was a rivalry game, emotional game, a physical game in a lot of ways, and so to have that break is great to hit the reset button. Now, the thing that's going to be interesting to watch, guys, is we saw Kansas come back from its extended break over Christmas and really not play well, right? They looked like they hadn't played all year in those first few games, and it took them a little while to get back into it. And so this week, it isn't going to be about sitting on your chair and just hey, let's go into it fully healthy. It's also going to be trying to maintain the momentum that you just built over those last four games. And you just mentioned, I think you do look at it as kind of a new season with this brutal stretch that is really coming up. This feels like one of those Allen Fieldhouse games, doesn't it, guys? Where you feel like the fans are going to show up in a major way, and Kansas is going to be pretty close to unbeatable in this one. But one of the things that makes BYU so tough is they're basically an NBA team. And what I mean by that is, as much as you see different college teams having different systems, right? This team runs motion, this team, runs this. KU's got the dribble, drive, weave, that they run, and then the high low action off of that. In the NBA, it's about having a star guy or two star guys and then the gravity that they create. And what I mean by that is just the defense sucks in to try and stop a guy, the ball moves, and what happens after that point. AJ Dibansa creates that sort of gravity. If you play him one on one, he's going to score, and that's why he's a future NBA guy. Rob Wright is a guy that if you play him, head up, he's got a great chance to score. You try to get the ball out of their hands, but then Richie Saunders can score, and the ball moves around, and they've got some really nice role players who kind of play off of that. And so the thing that's going to be really tough for KU in this one is not just, hey, can you hold AJ Dibansa under 30, which doesn't sound super easy, but also how is your scramble drill after you force the ball out of his hands? Is Rob Wright, who's over a 40% 3-point shooter, getting a warm up jumper, or are you right there to contest on the catch and forcing them to reset? And I think those are a lot of the difficult things. BYU has protected the rim okay this year, not necessarily great. So this is a game where KU could really help itself by attacking the rim, especially with Flory, and then BYU brings some sort of inexperienced size off the bench.
Yeah, KU honestly has done a really good job scoring the ball. All four road games, they scored at least 75, and obviously have had some success at home as well. But, BYU in particular, one thing about AJ, and you could see this for anybody who saw him or parts of the game where he dropped 43 on Utah, he's legitimately big. I mean, he is a big guard. He's an NBA dream, that sort of thing. Do you remember a lot from the high school matchups, AAU matchups of Peterson and AJ? Because Darren had some success in those without question. But, the other guys, Rob Wright, people probably have a little bit of a recollection, but don't want to, of the game in Waco
Yeah.
last year. Kansas was up 20 plus, and Rob Wright killed us. And Saunders obviously has had success. KU had a terrible game against BYU. So just so many factors from an individual standpoint and from a past history standpoint, let alone the fact that Kansas is still trying to win a Big 12 title, improve their seed, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a fine line with that, right? On one hand, if you're Bill Self, I'm not saying that you ignore last year's game and don't bring it up at all, because this is a team that, even though some of them weren't here last year, they seem like they respond to some of that stuff. Like, hey, let's get these guys back for what happened. But at the same time, this is about this year's teams and the guys that are on the court. It's not about Peterson, Dibansa with what did AJ have, 48, I think, and Peterson had, was it 62?
64 or something. Yeah, I think.
64. Yeah, exactly. So obviously they're going to be remembering that part of it, but this isn't going to be Peterson versus AJ. And if it devolves into that, I'm not sure that fits really what either team is going to want to do in this game. I'm not saying don't expect big performances, because I think both of those guys are really good when the lights come on. but I do think it's probably going to be more about the complementary pieces in terms of who actually winds up winning. You wind up looking at the end and saying, well, KU won because Melvin Council had 16 and 7 assists, or KU won this game because Trey White got to the free throw line a bunch and had 15 points and 12 boards. I think that could wind up being the reason that Kansas winds up winning this game.
Yeah, 100%. Kevin Flaherty, KCSN, joins the show. Kevin, I want you to play NFL draft analyst here for just a little bit. As you know, some KU football players were in the news. Obviously, you had Jalen Daniels playing in the Senior Bowl, practicing right now, and Emmanuel Henderson is there as well. But we're hearing a lot of really good things about Jalen Daniels coming out of the Senior Bowl. I guess if you're an NFL GM and you're looking at Jalen, where do you kind of see him maybe going? Do you see him being, a late round draft pick? Do you see him being a UDFA? Do you see him being an XFL kind of player? I guess in terms of, what you've seen out of Jalen and the skill set that he has, how do you think that'll transition over to the next level? And do you think there's a legitimate shot that he could, potentially be a starter one day at the next level?
One of the reasons I was so interested to watch him in Shrine this week was I think that the interview process and the way that he interacts with NBA coaches is going to be so huge for him, because he's going to get asked what happened in the second half of your senior season. And when you look at Jalen Daniels from the second half of his junior year through the first 7 games of his senior year, the 13 games there, and that includes the loss to Texas Tech all the way through, that 13 game stretch is as good as any season a KU quarterback has had since Todd Reesing. And it's arguably better than the season that Todd Reesing had in his senior year. So there's something there, is the point that I'm trying to say there. But Jalen didn't close out his KU career the way that you would have wanted him to. And he really struggled. And so they're going to get him in there with the clicker, right? And say, okay, what are you thinking here? Why didn't this work for you? What happened late in the year? And they don't want to hear you blame other guys. They don't want to hear you blame coaching. They want you to be able to look and give an honest view of, okay, this is why it went wrong, and this is why I know it went wrong, and this is why it won't continue to go wrong. And if he aces those things, there's no reason that he can't be a draft pick, because he has the athletic ability. As you saw at Shrine Bowl practices this week, he threw the ball really well on the run. He's a pretty twitchy athlete for an NFL quarterback as well. Those are the kinds of guys, especially when you look at the type of person that Jalen is. He's very likable. His teammates love him. He's a leader. He does the off-field stuff. The teams like to get in as their backup or their third string quarterback and kind of develop those guys and say, hey, we may have something here, we may not, but he has tools that we can develop, and he's the right kind of person we want in our locker room. But a lot for him, it was great that he played as well as he did at Shrine Bowl practices, but I think at the same time, so much for him is going to depend on how he does in those interviews and team meetings, and how he's able to talk about the last half of his senior year.
Yeah, that's really well put, because, it was a shame how JD's senior season ended, because he was so good, like you said, for that 13 game stretch. And that's, great research by you, because, man, he was a little bit rusty beginning of his second to last year, and then kind of looked like that quarterback toward the end of the line as well. But wishing him the best without a doubt. Kevin, you're the host of the Pay Heat podcast, Verbal Commitment podcast, and the Kansas City Sports Network. Tell us about some exciting news, potential exciting news that you guys got, and overall your coverage coming up.
Yeah. On Verbal Commitment, next week is actually the second signing day. Not really sure what we call it anymore, like late signing period. It's I'm in it, and I'm in the industry, and I've heard people call it all kinds of different things. Next Wednesday, and so we're hoping to have big guests from both KU and K State on that show, breaking down kind of their class and how they did, and hopefully talking about what they did in the portal as well. I know we've talked about the KU's portal class quite a bit on here, and with spring football sort of right around the corner, it'll be interesting to see what the 2026 Jayhawks have.
Yeah, a lot of Kansas flavor as well in that class.
Yeah.
So excited for that. Lots to talk about with March on the precipice, and then spring football on the precipice. Exciting stuff. Kevin Flaherty, Kansas City Sports Network. Really appreciate your time as always, man. Have a great week, and rock chalk.
Rock Chalk, see you guys.
All right, that's Kevin Flaherty joining us. Hey, this segment was sponsored by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence in West Lawrence. Mitch Bales and his team will get you back in the game. Whatever you need, give them a visit. Tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you. Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. If you need a checkup, they'll do a quick 3-step process, a blood draw, and the first visit is completely complimentary. So shout out to our friends over at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. More coming up on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Going to go to the podium post-game. Melvin Council and Elmarko Jackson as KU all over K-State, 86-62 in the Dillon's Sunflower Showdown. Miles Schneider and his team over at Crown Automotive will get you in the vehicle that you need. Dan, tell us about the Crown Volkswagen.
Yes, new year brings new deals at Crown Volkswagen of Lawrence. You can get up to $6,000 off remaining 2025 Tiguan and Taos models in stock. Two just really fantastic cars. If you've seen the Volkswagen commercials with the Taos on it, it's like a luxury car. It's just it's so nice. So go and check those out at Crown Automotive. You can come experience the Crown difference at Crown Volkswagen. Visit crownmotorsvw.com.
Melvin Council and Elmarko Jackson at the podium post-game. KU blows out K-State.
Elmarko, congrats on the career high 19 points. How does it feel to score that in Manhattan against the Wildcats?
It feels really good. This is my first win here as well, so to do that en route of like our first win here, and it was like 3 years or something. It feels really good, and we're just continue to work towards a common goal of trying to just push and fight to win the regular season Big 12 championship. So we're just taking it day by day, and it just feels like all the work, the teamwork is paying off.
For either one of you held them to 27 points in the second half. Where do you think that switch kind of flipped on the defensive end of the ball coming out of halftime?
Just know that it was going to be a dogfight. Kansas State is a good team second half, and during the season we've been having slow starts in the second half. We just had to just come out and defend, and every time I was in the huddle, we need 3 kills. That means 3 stops in a row.
Melvin, this is your first time in this rivalry. I thought you enjoying yourself at midcourt there as the game wound down. Just what did it mean to you to be a part of this?
I mean, it means a lot. Coach was preaching on before that Kansas State beat us 3 times in a row. And, it's my last year, so, I don't want to be in that. So just come out big with the team win.
And then obviously Darren tried to go, wasn't able to. When did you guys find out about that? And just what was the mindset as you knew that he wasn't going to be able to go?
I'm not sure when we found out about that, but, when Darren come back, it's going to be good. But, we played without Darren before. It's just next man up.
Melvin guarding a guy like PJ Haggerty, who's a high-volume type of scorer. What was your mentality coming into the game, knowing that you had to, kind of take that head on?
Just make him play fast. He's a great player. He gets to the free throw line a lot. And, when he passed the ball, I try to deny him. Some things was working, some things was not. And just stay in front of him and don't jump for his ball fakes.
Melvin, you were celebrating more than anybody at the end of this game. Did this one mean anything special to you?
Yeah, this means a lot. We in a group chat, and the coach's son a video from last year, or was it 2 years ago last year?
Yeah, it was Jay Will's year.
Yeah, when Kansas State beat us and the fans stormed the court. Piggyback on Missouri that happened last year with them. So, I just try to put that in my head throughout the whole game.
And Marco, you guys don't hit a lot of threes tonight, but what about scoring in the paint? Why do you think that was a focus today?
Us hitting threes?
No, scoring in the paint.
I feel like we got very skilled bigs, so just notifying the mismatches that we had and just executing our plays to, get the ball down low to them, get them touches, and, I feel like I said before, they're skilled, so they took advantage of, the players they had on them. So.
One more for you. Did you notice a difference when they had their shot block in the game? Mike Rugo, the 7-2 guy?
No, not really, no.
No, that didn't make it hard for you guys to shoot.
We play with, Paul's a 7-footer, so we go against him every day in practice. And, as guards, especially me and Mel, we don't really go in the paint with any fear. So,
You know, he does take up space, but it didn't really change, you know, our thinking.
Mark, I just wonder what the difference maker was for you coming off the bench to 19 points. What's your mindset? There, wait for your turn, and you go out there and start to shine.
Just being a team player, moving the ball, and you know, using the gifts that guys gave me. I'm pretty quick, so just finding an angle on my man, getting to the rim, and you know, I feel like my teammates, they're not selfish, so if I'm open, they're gonna pass me the ball, and you know, I just hit shots today, so yeah.
And then a follow-up, Coach Self on Thursday talked about the importance of guarding PJ Haggerty. Now he's a guy who's going to score 20 points regardless, but 6 of 17 from the field. What was kind of maybe the approach or the game plan on trying to keep the ball out of his hands?
Yeah, just making his you know, time with us very difficult. You know, trying to get him out of his rhythm, and you know, just denying the ball to him as much as possible. Like Mel said, he's a really good player, so we had to limit his touches and try and, you know, get him out of his mojo. So I say that, just limiting his easy looks, because, you know, a good player is going to get to their spots and, you know, eventually get a couple buckets. So it's just limiting that.
Anything else?
You said he showed you the court storming a few years back. Did it include the speech at all? Just when Tang got on the table and said expect to win?
Yeah, they just sent the video in the group chat, and every player's seen it, and we just had that mindset that that can't happen again.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Melvin Council and Elmarko Jackson. Hard to pinpoint one Jayhawk who played the best in the game against K-State. Obviously,
I think they all did well.
3 guys. I mean, Council, Bidunga, and Tiller were all awesome, but Elmarko too. I mean, yeah, that's 4 guys who had Tiller and Jackson maybe had their best game of the season. Council, you can't ask for anything more from him. 17 and 12 and 7 with only 1 turnover. And then Flory, we've documented throughout 21 and 10. Those guys all showed out. And hopefully, as Kevin Flaherty said last segment, Peterson is back Saturday. Bill Self, who we're going to hear from later in the show, seems confident that Peterson will play. He said, I think he'll play. Yeah. Talking about Saturday. Ankle turns. We've all had those just playing sports, basketball. It's just like, man, it's just something that takes time, and you just got to wrap it up and rest it. And KU got the win in Colorado with Peterson closing out the game. That needed to happen. And now we're kind of back to where we were because Kansas lost those 2 games to UCF and West Virginia, who aren't bad now, by the way. They're both 4 and 3. But because you had those 2 setbacks, you're kind of like, all right, well, we got to keep winning.
Yeah,
and,
as time moves on, those losses look better.
Right.
It's still, you shouldn't have lost them, but still, they're looking a little better.
You want to win all your games. You want to be 7-0. But, yeah, bottom line is the home games. That's what I get back to because, 100%. Again, you can't lose on the road. Kansas only has 2 more road conference games that I think they'll be expected to win, and that's Oklahoma State and Arizona State. The other road conference games, Kansas is going to be underdogs in Arizona, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. So if you drop those 3, then you're already at 5 losses in conference play. You need to win the other 2 road games, and then you need to win your home games just to go 13 and 5. And how high would that have you finish in the Big 12? Would that be good enough to be a 3 seed in the NCAA? Probably not. I mean, obviously you have the Big 12 tournament as well, and we'll talk more seeding, of course, as the weeks go on before March Madness officially starts. But yeah, I mean, a lot of important games. Kansas 7 games into this 18-game slate. They are 5-2. BYU on Saturday, 3:30. Crimson and Blue Show coverage starts at 2 o'clock on Sports Radio 810 WHB. After this, Case of the Mondays on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com. It's a cold day here in Lawrence, and some people out there are having a case of the Mondays, but I'd imagine that's more so happening in Manhattan as their basketball team is 10-10, 1-6 in conference play, and that's just the men's basketball team. The women's basketball team also took an L to our Jayhawks yesterday. More on that we're going to hear later in the week from Brandon Schneider, Elle Evans, and Jalea Davis. Jalea Davis, she's a special talent. She went off, as she's done many times this year, yesterday over in the Fog. Dan, tell us about game day at Men's Health Lawrence.
I will, but first I want to say Jerome Tang's buyout is around $15 million.
Yeah, that's going to be painful one way or another.
Yep.
One way or another.
Will be. Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence. They do everything that they can to make sure that you are in a comfortable, plush, man cave-like setting to get you back in the game. If you don't have the energy to go to the gym, go to work, spend time with your family, get yourselves checked out at Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence. First visit, 100% complimentary. Nobody likes going to the doctor. They are a fully fledged medical clinic here in Lawrence. They will make sure that you're comfortable, make sure that you don't have any of that white coat phobia. First visit, like I said, is 100% free. They'll check your blood, make sure everything is working okay. If not, they'll do everything in their power to make sure that they get you back in the game. So check out Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence.
Kansas basketball, it just came out as we were pre-recording the show, is up to 14th in the AP poll. So KU jumps up 5 spots. That is a large jump. UNC, for what it's worth, had a larger jump as they jumped up 6 spots. They are 16th in the country. But update you really quick before our Case of the Monday segment. Top 3 stay the same. Arizona is number 1, UConn is number 2, and Michigan is number 3. Duke is 4, Nebraska is 5. That's still just very, very strange to look at. But Nebraska is 20-0. They're trying for a 1 seed. They've never won a game in the NCAA tournament.
Insane.
Fred Hoiberg, man, former Iowa State legend, doing his work. Gonzaga is 6.
Ball.
Michigan State is 7. Iowa State is 8. Illinois is 9. And Houston is 10. Both of those teams, in addition to BYU, had a 40-plus point freshman scorer on Saturday. Kingston Flemings of Houston and, of course, Keaton Wagler of Illinois. So good on those young stars. Texas Tech, who beat Houston, they are 11. Purdue is 12.
They
dropped 8 spots.
Oh, my gosh.
BYU 13. KU 14, Arkansas 15. So in the fog on Saturday, College Game Day 3:30 tip. It's number 14 KU and number 13 BYU. That should be an absolute blast. KU getting some respect, winning a couple road games, Dan.
100%. By the way, a word on Purdue. I saw like a Barstool guy share my same sentiment. I didn't see it until after I had said it, but he said something along the lines of like, beating Purdue is not an upset because they're always ranked in the top 5, and then there's always teams just constantly beating Purdue every single week. And
Remember in the preseason when Purdue was number 1 in the AP poll, and you and I were like, guys, like the polls obviously are never going to be accurate, but we're just like, there's no way Purdue's going to win the national championship.
Absolutely not.
And maybe that's not how they base it, but still, it's just not going to happen. No disrespect to Matt Painter. They were national runners-up a couple years ago, but they also had Zach Edey.
Right.
I don't buy
Smith
Purdue.
Is good. I will
they're
give him
down. They're down to 12. Yeah, but he's not better than all of these players on all of the. I mean, I just their roster is not up to snuff in my opinion.
And they gave up 46 points to a freshman. From Kansas City, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to
impressive.
Keaton Wagler. But
yes, Case of the Mondays for them because they dropped 8 spots.
Yeah, Purdue down to 12. They are still solid. They're 17-3, but again, we're focused on the 13 versus 14 matchup in the fog coming up on Saturday. Case of the Mondays, Dan.
Yes, let's start here. Case of the Mondays for Connor Tollison. We have a picture for this. Connor Tollison did the unthinkable, and he made a Missouri helmet look good as he was playing in one of the bowl games, one of those Shrine Bowl, whatever. I believe it was the Shrine Bowl. Maybe it wasn't. Starting offensive lineman for Mizzou last year. And it's kind of a thing that they do where they'll wear their team's helmets and then they'll like trade stickers. I don't know where he got the sticker from, but a KU sticker wound up on a Missouri helmet, and it makes me want to barf.
It's so great.
That's like,
I mean, it makes them want to barf more.
Yeah, I mean, that's like...
It looks a heck of a lot more like a KU logo than...
Yeah, I mean, that's like putting an American flag sticker on like a Confederate flag. Like, it's just like... I don't know, man. It's just, I hate it. I actually hate it.
Wouldn't you hate it more if it were a Mizzou logo on a KU?
That's the thing. If I'm a Missouri fan, I hate this more.
Well, yeah.
If I'm a KU fan and there's a KU helmet with a Mizzou sticker on it, I'm flipping tables and chairs and I'm going crazy.
I love the comments. Looks like the young man has finally seen the light. So
it was
good.
Senior Bowl as well. So it wasn't the Shrine Bowl. It was the Senior Bowl that he wore that in. But isn't that just so gross? What do you? I mean, I don't know. Do you like it or not?
I think it's funny. I don't think it's gross. I think it would be gross if it was a Mizzou logo.
Like I said, he did the unthinkable and he made a Missouri helmet look better.
Right.
It really needed some cosmetic work, and I think that's the one way.
So explain to me what's going on here.
So at the Senior Bowl and a lot of these Shrine Bowls, different things where guys are trying to get drafted. they'll bring their school's helmets, and a lot of the guys, they'll like trade stickers. Like you'll see that a lot in like high school games, like the Kansas Shrine Bowl. I know kids will take their sticker off and like trade stickers and put them on different helmets, and you get a bunch of different stickers just from like guys that you meet. Right. So that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah, like collegiate or minor league baseball players will do that with like colleges they went to.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a choice that he's got wearing this. I mean, I need to know the backstory of how this happens.
I'm sure it was just he met up with some guy. Let's see, who's in the Senior Bowl this year? I don't know. Are there any KU players in the Senior Bowl this year?
So
where did he get that sticker? Because I know Jalen and Emmanuel played in the Shrine Bowl. Let me look at this up. 2026 Senior Bowl roster.
I put you on the spot with that, man.
You certainly did. Hold on. I'm going to do this real fast.
It's just not something you expected to see. There are some angry Mizzou fans, though, on...
No, there's no KU players in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, very, very strange.
There's Arkansas. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Arkansas players.
That's a straight up Kansas
K-State
Jayhawk.
Players.
That is a straight up
What the
Kansas
hell?
Jayhawk. That's great. Anyway, we'll look into it more, but yeah, you're right. He made a Mizzou helmet actually look much better.
This is yeah, yeah, power to him, man. Whatever.
All right, Triple D lovers, explain this to me.
Are you a Triple D lover?
I don't
like
know.
myself? Do you know what Triple D is?
Only triple letter I know is Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, former WWE great.
Triple H. Shout
Yes,
out.
yes.
D-Generation X.
Yes.
Triple D is diners, drive-ins, and
of course.
dives. Of
Yes.
course.
Classic hotel watch.
The best, like it's like that and Impractical Jokers are like the two best hotel watches in the world. But as we all know, our the mayor of Flavortown, Guy Fieri, is a little bit of an eccentric guy. You know, he has the goatee and the spiky hair and the flamey shirts and all that stuff. I have a picture of this too. Guy Fieri, his birthday's today, and he came out with this video and he said, I spent all my birthdays being Guy. I want to spend this one as just a guy. And that's what he looks like. At first glance, I thought, oh man, that's AI. Like they definitely did something, you know, where they
still don't buy it.
Managed it. Apparently it's not.
And
Apparently
it's not AI.
he shaved the beard, he dyed his hair, he's dressed like an accountant.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Isn't that
There's no way that's right, right?
It's jarring, isn't it? That doesn't look like him at all.
I gotta do. Oh my god.
Well, so for forever, Guy Fieri has been this beacon of non-professional dressing people like you and I, myself. You know what I mean? Like we don't like to dress. I mean, dressing up is fine every once in a while, but you know, I like wearing T-shirts and hats and different stuff like that. Guy Fieri was the person that you look to and say that guy looks like that. And he did it.
It's got to be AI. It's got to be.
Not. I looked everywhere. And people were like, "Please tell me this is AI." And they're like, "No, it's not." And now, granted, a lot of people are saying that this probably is going to be he's doing
a one-time thing.
Yeah, he's doing this for like some big Super Bowl commercial.
Absolutely.
Is what people think.
That's
it's
what
some
it reeks
marketing
of.
scheme.
It reeks
I don't
of
think
a Super Bowl commercial.
I don't think he turned 58 and he's like, "It's time for me to grow up." You know, and completely change my entire persona, but still jarring.
Hotel stays would be ruined. But
Also,
yeah, you're not kidding.
I did not realize that is what he actually looks like.
As
a normal person.
No, I don't
just
think
a guy.
that's. Yeah, I don't think that's.
You don't think it's? Do you think it's real or do you think it's AI?
I don't know. People say it's not AI, but
that's what I'm saying.
Who knows?
It's jarring.
Well,
it rattled me to my core.
We'll see. We'll see moving forward, but I expect a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, gonna be a Super Bowl commercial or something. He changed his tag on Twitter to Mayor Guy Fieri.
Yeah. It's a temporary thing.
He better bring that. He better bring the spiky hair and the goatee back. He needs to. It's just the world is a better place with Guy Fieri being Guy Fieri and not just another guy, like he said. Case of the Mondays for the purity of the sport. Sean, I want your thoughts on this. All Division I teams apparently will be permitted next year up to 2 additional commercial logos on their uniforms and 1 additional commercial logo on equipment during the preseason plus the regular season, with an additional logo for conference championships. So this is a brand new thing. The NCAA just approved commercial jersey patches in college sports effective on August 1st. Your thoughts in terms of plastering logos on the jerseys in college athletics?
We knew this was coming years ago.
Absolutely.
We knew this was coming as soon as NIL became a thing, man.
But do you like it?
No, I don't like it.
Neither do I.
No, I don't like it. But did you see the Notre Dame football jerseys with the Charmin logo on them? They tried to make that a thing.
That's
yeah,
nice.
I know. I should have put that picture.
good.
I should have got that picture to Elijah to show. But
I like that.
But no, yeah, the football jerseys with the Charmin logo.
What logos? I bet you this feels like an Adam Brassel mailbag question. But what logos would you put on KU's jersey to be okay with it?
I'm thinking maybe Kansas Nation.
That'd be cool. I'd be okay with that.
I guess that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Put a Kansas Nation logo on the jersey.
Yeah.
That would be. We'll make some phone calls. I can only imagine it's going to be very expensive when we don't have that kind of money. But, like, what about like the wheel?
Oh man, that'd
be kind of fun,
That'd
right?
be great. Yeah.
Or like Free State Brewery might be okay.
Johnny's Tavern,
West Lawrence, one of the 13 locations. Great
Yeah.
local sports bar, one of 13 locations from Raymore to Topeka.
He'll be the host of Hawk Talk, by the way, tonight.
Game Day
6
Men's
to 7.
Health might look okay.
Game Day Men's Health, sure.
Yeah, but
Central
if it's
Bank,
like
Midwest.
If it's like a yeah, I'll just list all of our sponsors. Stanley James, Crown Automotive. I don't know, man. Like, if
We
you're
knew
gonna put
it was coming.
Well, because like the FNBO on the court, I have an issue with that because it's green. Like, make it blend in make it look like regular. You know what I mean? Don't have like a purple
green,
and yellow.
That's their vibe, man.
I know, I get it, but like
It is interesting though, because the FNBO behind Self in the media room,
it's white.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like make it
sticks
blue.
out more when it's green.
I know, but it sticks out more.
Right. It's more noticeable.
Do you think there are going to be
Money sells.
Do you think there are going to be schools who have too much pride to do this?
No.
You don't think like Alabama or
No, are you kidding me?
USC is one because
There's funds in that.
USC is weird about that stuff because like they don't put names on the back of the jerseys. They only wear black shoes and white socks. Like they're weird about like their stuff. I bet you USC is going to be one where they're like, absolutely not. Notre Dame,
until
I think,
somebody
is going
waves
to be one
that
too.
check in front of their
That's
their
true.
face. Yeah.
Everybody's got a price, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's got a
absolutely.
price.
Speaking of Bama,
Speaking of, Case of Mondays for Alabama basketball because Charles Bediako is now on the Crimson Tide once again.
the return.
The return. This is like when LeBron went from Cleveland to Miami and then back to Cleveland.
I guess.
So Charles Bediako, as we know, was drafted in the NBA and actually played in G League games. And now some judge in Alabama ruled that he is eligible to play for Alabama. And this is just getting worse and worse and worse. James Najee was sort of the start of it. But James Najee was interesting because he did get drafted, but he never played in any games. He played in the Summer League, but he never played in a G League game, never played in the NBA. Charles Bediako did play in G League games and now is back with the Crimson Tide, which I think is interesting. And again, I don't hate Nate Oates for trying this because, again, the game is if you can do it, you should try. And if you succeed, then congratulations to you on succeeding.
Wouldn't you
it doesn't
be
hurt to try.
concerned that after the fact they would rule him ineligible and you'd have to forfeit those games? I mean, that's
the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a big gamble and it's such a giant flip of the coin. And it's kind of like the Ohio State player.
I thought maybe they wouldn't play him just because of that.
They granted him temporary eligibility. Well, they played against Tennessee, which this is just great. Tennessee beat them by 3 points. Tennessee tweeted out and they tagged the G League team that he played on, the Blue Coats, and they said, "You're next."
Yeah.
Which that's great. I absolutely love that. Also, Todd Golden had something to say about this too. Todd Golden, coach of Florida, he said they were able to finagle it where they got a judge in Alabama that's actually a donor in Alabama to write a temporary restraining order, which again is absolutely insane. If you have a judge who is a booster for Alabama granting you this, like obviously that should be some kind of red flag, or something should be pinging with the NCAA. But Todd Golden went on to say this. He said, "We're going to beat him anyways. If he plays, we're going to beat him anyways."
Yeah.
That's tough.
It is. I mean,
that's tough.
You know what? Golden's feeling good. He's coming off a national championship. He's feeling good.
This rocks.
Respect.
That absolutely rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's so, everything.
Again, I just would be
sucks
more
now.
so concerned if I'm Oates that any games that you win with him are eventually going to not count. But who knows?
True.
Again, it's all very, very confusing, and the NCAA, obviously, as we know, is a total mess.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Couple
right,
more here.
Yeah.
Case of the Mondays for Alex Honnold. Did you see this over the weekend? He free soloed the Taiwan 101 Tower live on Netflix.
I guess I did see some videos of this.
Free solo. By the way, that means no cords, nothing holding him onto that. So if he falls, he dies.
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, I have an issue with that because it's like, why would they? You know, the only reason people are going to be tuning in is to potentially watch this guy die, and it's like that's not the way that the world should work. It feels a little dystopian to me. He was asked how much he got paid from Netflix to do it, and he said it was, quote, embarrassingly low. The reporter was like, "Oh, so was it like 10 million?" And he goes, "Oh, like that's embarrassingly low." He's like, "That's way lower." He got paid $500,000.
Yeah.
To do probably the most dangerous thing I've ever seen.
So, how does this end? He did it.
He did it.
He did it.
did
and
it.
he got $500,000. So I
It's
guess
crazy.
that.
Somebody did like a study on him, and apparently like his brain doesn't produce enough of like the chemical that makes you feel fear.
Oh my God.
So he's like literally just like a sociopath. He like went through a bunch of tests and a bunch of studies and different things, and they're like showing him like scary, like horrific images, and he was just like, eh.
See, I'm not great with heights, so this is. This just happened yesterday.
This happened yesterday. It was supposed to happen. No, sorry. Yeah, it happened yesterday. So it's supposed to happen on Saturday, and then due to inclement weather because it was raining, they had to push it to Sunday.
Because
how do you know the building's going to dry off in time?
I mean, my first thought is the raining makes it dangerous.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, they're like, no, there's a little bit of rain. So
did he have to go down by himself also?
I don't know. I don't believe so. I bet he maybe just like climbed down like one story, and then like there's probably a door up there.
Yeah.
It was at one point, I believe, the tallest building in the world, and then I believe the Burj Khalifa.
I mean, my
knocked
palms
it
are
off.
literally sweating just looking at this guy.
So this begs the question. He did it for $500,000. What's your to be roped in?
It's not going to matter because I'm dead.
No, you'll be roped in.
Oh, to be roped in.
You'll be tied to it. So if you fall, the rope will catch you.
Okay. Well,
what's your price?
I don't know. I mean, and I already don't like heights.
Mm-hmm.
So I would still, I would be a little bit of a pain about this. I would want to set up my family probably for the future.
Sure.
So, 10 million, I guess.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I mean, according to the reporter, that was embarrassingly low.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix made
I've got
millions
a rope
of dollars off of
so
this.
theoretically, I'm not going to die.
Sure. Theoretically.
You
might have a heart attack. I don't know.
All right, I changed my mind. I want 50 million.
Okay.
That's more fair.
See, I've been pretty consistent about this, and I think I'm going to maintain my consistency with this. I'm going to go ahead and say probably $50,000, just because there's not a lot I wouldn't do for $50,000.
50,000, man, perfect.
Last one here. Case of the Mondays for Milton Williams. Milton Williams, he plays for the Patriots, as we know. We'll talk a little bit Patriots, Seahawks later in the show. But apparently after the game, Mike Vrabel said to the Patriots, "No curfew tonight, but the bus is leaving at 8 a.m. So if you ain't on it, you ain't playing in the Super Bowl."
Ooh.
Guess what Milton Williams said to that comment? He said, "Oh yeah, I ain't playing." Isn't that great? Man, how, by the way, our long national nightmare of the Patriots just being really good just is not ending. They have Drake May. and he's so good.
Yeah,
and I
know.
hate it. I hate the
Well,
Patriots.
it is interesting. It's going to be another guy that, people are going to say Mahomes. Obviously, Mahomes is
I know.
30.
Yeah. And here's the next guy.
Yeah, people have said that.
The guy
about
who's going to
a million different guys. But
They said about Deshaun Watson. They said about
it's
Joe
got
Burrow.
it's got to be
Lamar
making it's got to be making
Jackson,
Mahomes
CJ Stroud,
hungrier.
Josh Allen.
God, how about Burrow and Allen, man? That's just, at least Burrow's been to a Super Bowl, I guess. But yeah, that's just a real bummer for them.
Yeah, whoever takes the Bills job is. I mean, if they don't at least make the AFC
you're bullish
Championship-
on that Bills job. You are.
Yeah, but then after Terry Pagula came out and was throwing guys under the bus, it makes it not as
right. I mean, Jesse Minter, how about him? I mean, he's got set up pretty good in Baltimore.
Yeah,
So
true.
that's not a bad,
No,
not a
100%.
bad gig either.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good job. But if they don't make the AFC Championship in the first year, I think all of a sudden you're looking at Josh Allen thinking,
Man, it's going to be
is he going to request a trade? I
it's
don't
going
know.
to be more challenging for the
For
Chiefs
sure.
moving forward.
Congratulations
seems
to
like.
the Patriots, I suppose, and
I guess.
congratulations
I'm-
to the Seahawks.
I'm annoyed. It's Patriots Seahawks. I feel like I just watched that, but then again, people are probably just glad it's not the Chiefs. So
That's true.
After this, we're going back to the podium in the Little Apple. KU over K-State, 86-62. Hawks are 5-2 in Big 12 play, and they're up to number 14 in the country for today's AP poll. So KU, exciting stuff, on a little bit of a roll. Can they get BYU on Saturday? That is the next game. We're going to hear from Bill Self after this on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Crown Automotive, a founding partner of us here at Kansas Nation. Shout out Miles Stair and his team over there on South Iowa in Lawrence. They'll get you in the vehicle that they need. A great sales team, trusted here in Lawrence for quite some time. If you can't get over there on South Iowa, check them out at crownautomotive.com. Appreciate Miles Stair and his team and their partnership of us here at Kansas Nation. Bill Self post-game, the Sunflower Snowdown as KU destroyed K-State 86
Did you come up with that?
62. I said it a couple times.
Oh,
I said it a couple times on pregame and postgame.
It's good. It's
I
really
can't
good.
take credit. I got my wife had a coworker that wanted me to work
Okay,
it,
sure.
but I was like, man, I kind of like that.
Sunflower Snowdown.
The Sunflower Snowdown.
Like
Yeah,
that.
good stuff. Bill Self post-game, KU's win.
Who's got the mic? Go ahead, Drew.
For ending the 3-game losing streak here on the road against Kansas State, just what did it mean to end that for you?
Well, we 3 years ago, we actually had a great game. I don't know if you remember, I called timeout right before Jalen Wilson threw in a 3 to win the game and ended up costing us the game. And then the last 2 years, they just whipped our butt. But it was good. We talked about it a lot. And it's hard for, I think, in-state rivalries to mean as much to the players in today's world than it did in the past. And so we tried to make sure our guys understood what an important game it was to many people around here.
And Melvin almost finishes with a triple-double. Just what did you see from him tonight?
I thought he's great. You can make the case he's the best player on the floor. 12 dimes and 1 turnover, and plays 38 minutes, and did a good job on PJ when he was matched up on him, I thought, and then I thought he was terrific.
What'd you think of Elmarko today, coming off the bench, scoring 19 points?
What do you have? 17?
19.
He had 19 points on 7 shots. Made all his free throws. He was great, and then he made those 2 big threes in the second half when we shot the ball miserably from beyond the arc, and then he made those 2 big threes. So he was great. Everybody, Maury missed wide open looks that I feel like he can make 2 out of 5 most every night. And Jaden didn't get a chance to do much, but he was effective when he was in there. But the 5 guys that were our main players, production-wise, I thought they all played great. We haven't had that where we had everybody, playing well like we did tonight, especially late.
And you guys held him to 27 points in the second half. Was there something different that you did on the defensive end in the second half, or were the guys just a little bit more amped up?
I think they missed some of the same shots they made the first half, and I think we rebounded the ball a lot better, obviously. And then the last 8 minutes or so, we tried to stay on traps even when we were switching on PJ just to try to get it out of his hands. He still got fouled, but I thought we did a better job on him. Even though first half we did a great job on him. It was Kostick that killed us,
Bill, I think you went with Elmarko out of halftime over Jamari, which is what was behind.
I can't hear.
You
Your
went with
microphone's-
Elmarko out of halftime. Elmarko in the starting five out of halftime instead of Jamari. What was behind that decision?
I just didn't think Jamari was playing as well, and I thought Elmarko, he had 5 points the first half on two shots or 2 for 3s. I just thought I'd give him a shot.
And then how close was Darren to being able to go, and what do you think about his potential availability for BYU?
I think he'll play. I don't know for a fact. I'm not a doctor, but I think he'll play. That game obviously mean a lot to a lot of people. And they're terrific, and game day will make it extra hype. So I don't see any reason that he couldn't play. If he played today, he would have been ineffective because he couldn't have pushed off today.
Bill, maybe I'm wrong in this, but it looked like you were maybe a little bit more animated or excited after some of those makes in the second half. Is there anything about coming back after an absence or just this game that?
No. I was excited because I thought we played the way we're supposed to play. I thought we shared the ball. I thought we were great in late clock. And it's nice to see the guys actually playing the way that you envisioned them playing, and we haven't done it consistently at all. So that was more of it. And I'll be honest with you, this is a big game to me personally because it's an in-state game. And I told our players, I said, "Hell, you're going to be here 1 year. You leave here and nobody talks about it. At least in your world, I got to live here." So I thought this was. I was probably. I don't know if I was more animated, but I was probably more excited to see us play that well than I normally am.
I just wanted to ask Caustic, 47 for them, hasn't played a ton this season. He comes in against 4 threes. Was he on your scouting?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We knew he could shoot, but we didn't know he would make 4 in a row to start the game. But we knew he'd shoot. We knew his reputation. We think he's really going to be a good player. We just thought he hadn't made shots yet. But if you go back and look at it, most of them were maybe you get by with 1, but I don't think we respected him in the manner in which he deserved there in the first half. We did a better job second half.
Hey, Bill, Florida had 21 points. It looked like there was going to be more touches in the second half. Is that accurate? And what changed at halftime?
I don't know. He didn't get many touches the first half. And the second half, we ran a little high-low action to get him a basket right off the bat, and he converted that. But if you go back and look at it, the way he plays well and the way he scores isn't off of running plays. It's off of him making athletic plays. And when your guards get downhill and you force help and you can throw it up, those are easy plays for him. That's not something that we design, So I thought if you're going to talk about the best part of his game today, though, was definitely on the defensive end.
Bill, with a little extra time between games, do you give the guys a little time off with the week before BYU, or do you just go right back into practice? How do you approach your schedule?
We will. Now, this is what we talked about before, so we'll discuss it tonight. But we'll be off tomorrow. We'll practice Monday and Tuesday. We'll take Wednesday off and practice Thursday and Friday, because if you don't take Wednesday off, now you're looking at many consecutive days. We've got Texas Tech on Monday. So that'll be our game plan.
And Bill, on Thursday, you said that P.J. Haggerty was going to have 20 points or so, regardless of how well he played. That's the type of player that he is. Had 23 on 6 of 17 from the field. Was that kind of what you expected?
I don't know that I expected it, but I expected him to shoot 12 free throws. The thing about him, I actually told our team, I said, he's going to get 20 shots and he's going to shoot 10 free throws, and if he shoots it good, he's going to have 30. And we just got to limit his good looks, and I think for the most part we did. He's a natural scorer, though. We don't have many of those that we play against that's just a natural scorer.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Bill.
That's Bill Self after the win in Manhattan. Confident about Darren Peterson potentially playing. Obviously, we're going to hear from Coach Self at some point later this week, likely Thursday or Friday, where he'll have an update. Strange week. I'm sure a good week to reset. But, yeah, if DP can get out there against BYU, that'd be a lot of fun. A lot of really tough matchups. I mean, BYU hung 94 on Kansas last year in Provo, and it could have been worse, honestly. Richie Saunders, he can fill it up. And, obviously, AJ is a different beast. And Rob Wright, had his way with KU. Now this pack of dogs for KU is a little bit different than last year, but it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I think when you look at BYU and the weight that those names hold makes you really kind of uncomfortable, I think. But also looking at the matchups, I mean, Flory's been playing well. Bryson has really been coming too. If you get Darren out there, he's going to be able to take it over. Melvin's been great. Trey has been known to be able to take over games at times as well. So you have a really good matchup right now in the AP. BYU's one spot ahead of Kansas. And I think if you can contain AJ to, I'm just going to say under 25. I think that it's going to be really hard to contain him under 25. I think if you're able to do that, I think Kansas is really going to have a shot at this. And I like Kansas in this just because it's at Allen Fieldhouse. College game day is going to be there. The atmosphere is going to be electric. But we've seen these guys before, and they're damn good players.
It's not solely a three-headed monster, but when you look offensively, yeah, I mean, majority of their scoring, AJ's got 23.6 points per game, Richie Saunders 18.8, and Rob Wright 18. You got three guys averaging 18 points per game. I mean, has there ever been a quieter player in the history of the Big 12 to get 18 a game and shoot 45% from three than Rob Wright?
No, I know.
Because everybody talks about AJ, who's averaging, like I said, 23.6. Plus, Saunders, 2 steals per game. Keba Keita's a nice player. He averages 2 blocks a game. Nobody outside of those three averages more than 7.5 points per game. So obviously it starts with them, but they've got some really good players, and Kansas needs to get them back after what happened in Provo that we don't want to relive too much.
Yeah,
They
don't remind me.
also have another Kostic on their team. Did you know that?
Is that true?
Yes. Alexei Kostic.
Are they related?
He wears number 6. I don't know.
At least he doesn't wear 47.
They don't look overly similar, but I could be completely wrong. We'll see.
We'll look into that.
KU and BYU Saturday at 3:30. After this, we're going to relive the NFC Championship and AFC Championship as the Super Bowl matchup is set. Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. KansasNation.com is the place to go. Kansas Nation Podcast Network. Of course, we've got Rock Chalk Sports daily. If you miss anything, check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on KansasNation.com. But other podcasts we have include Haney and the Hawks. You can hear Brian's conversation with Tyshawn Taylor from last week. We also have the Jayhawker. Nate Bukaty had college basketball national analyst Mike DeCourcy on last week, and he spoke highly of Melvin Council and the Jayhawks. And Between Two Fountains.
Yeah.
They have got 2 episodes up there already. It's Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer. Mick, of course, the KSHB 41 sports director. And Greg Gurley, I don't really know where to go with his title, but KU color analyst and the Furman Paladins' biggest nightmare.
Yeah, the Furman Paladins' biggest nightmare, I think, is that they need to put that underneath his name. Also, color analysts. Yeah, I don't know.
KansasNation.com, though, we've got press conferences post-game from KU K-State, both on the men's side and the women's side. You can find any Big 12 news, border rivals news, anything going on with the Jayhawks. That is the place to go. Also, Dan, follow us on socials.
Yes, be sure to follow us everywhere on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at the Kansas Nation, Facebook, Kansas Nation, and on YouTube as well, where we put all of our shows, all the content up there. And most importantly, KansasNation.com is where all of our content goes as well. But be sure to check us out on social media. We're putting a lot of stuff out constantly, and we really appreciate a follow, a share, a like, whatever you can do. Be sure to spread the good word about Kansas Nation.
AFC Championship went the way of the Patriots, over the Broncos 10-7, and NFC went the way of the Seahawks over the Rams. We do game picks often on this show, and we'll give a couple college basketball game picks. And at the end of our game pick segment on Thursday, when we were previewing the NFL championship games, I said, well, both Dan and I liked the Patriots and the Rams, so do yourself a favor and go with the Broncos and the Seahawks. And if you did that, then you won, because the Broncos covered the number. The public delivered on that front, as it was bet down from 5.5 to 3.5 because the public liked the Broncos at home, and indeed they covered the 3.5, losing by 3. And the Seahawks were 2.5-point favorites in the Pacific Northwest, and they end up winning by 4. Couple close games, entertaining in different ways, but indeed it's going to be the Marshawn Lynch revenge game, Seahawks-Patriots in the Super Bowl in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so I'll kind of roll through both games because I watched both games. By the way, Patriots should have covered by a landslide, but I cannot believe that they're well. There was 2 missed field goals, I believe, in this game as well. The Broncos kicker also missed one too. But have you ever seen a game where the disparity in weather was so different between the first half and the second half? First half it was cold, but there was
a snow game by the end.
Yeah,
awesome.
there's no snow at all, and then all of a sudden, the second half rolls around. It is just visibility, absolutely none. Guys are slipping and sliding all over the place. I mean, you saw there was a little bit of tenderness there whenever guys were trying to run the ball, and it looked so insane. I am for sure going to blame the weather on this because, again, the Patriots were the better team. Jarrett Stidham did not have a good game. 17 of 31, 133 yards. He had a touchdown and I believe 2 interceptions in this game. But again, for a guy who hasn't thrown an NFL pass since 2023, you can't really blame him. You know, obviously it's an impossible situation to be put in to try to, get them to the Super Bowl. Also, it was a complete, how do I put this? I didn't want anybody to win. I hate the Broncos, and I also hate the Patriots. That was a Chiefs fan's worst nightmare, is to watch an AFC championship with both the Broncos and the Patriots. You're cheering for both of them to lose. The way that I was doing that is I was rooting for the Rams in the NFC championship game because I thought the Rams matched up better against the Patriots. I was like, all right, well, if the Patriots win, that'll be great. You're like, well, if the Broncos win, then there's no way Jarrett Stidham is going to lead them to a Super Bowl. But also, I didn't want to see the Broncos in the Super Bowl just because Broncos fans are so annoying. So there is that aspect of it. But again, our long national nightmare is not over with the New England Patriots because I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say that this is the start of a dynasty because I don't think it is. And I think the Chiefs are going to be coming back. I think the Chiefs are going to draft well.
Yeah, and one guy getting to the Super Bowl without having even won it yet does not count as potentially being started.
That's true. No, and that's totally fair. If the Rams would have won, and then if the Rams would have won the Super Bowl, would you consider that a dynasty with Matt Stafford?
No, we talked about this Friday. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
2 out of, 5 years?
It's pretty good.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, the Patriots wind up winning 10-7, and kind of a stinker of a game. I hate seeing, because it's weird because the 2014 Super Bowl was Seahawks.
Yeah, Super Bowl 49.
Yeah.
Yep. And Seahawks led that one 24-10 going to the fourth quarter. Or 24-14 rather, and Patriots scored 14.
The Malcolm Butler game.
The Malcolm Butler, the Marshawn Lynch game. Russell Wilson making a disastrous play after a disastrous play call, and yeah, that was not
just horrible. But then the NFC Championship, that was a lot better of a game. I mean, both quarterbacks, you saw them play probably their best games of the year. Stafford went 22 of 35 for 374, 3 touchdowns, unbelievable. But then you saw Sam Darnold, 25 of 36, 346, and 3 touchdowns. Prior to this game, obviously the Rams and the Seahawks are in the same division. Against the Rams in the regular season, Sam Darnold only threw 2 touchdowns against the Rams and threw 6 interceptions against the Rams. So Sam Darnold, what a career resurgence he has had, right? I mean, you look at the path that he's taken where you were with the New York Jets. You were out indefinitely with mononucleosis. You were shipped off like a piece of garbage out to, I believe at first was the Panthers, where he was with the Panthers, I believe with Baker Mayfield. Everyone kind of forgot about that. Then he went over to the San Francisco 49ers.
Went to a Super Bowl.
Went to a Super Bowl, but did not play in the Super Bowl. Then finds his way over to the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy gets hurt, and all of a sudden Sam Darnold has to come in, and he absolutely balled out last year for the Vikings and got him paid. I mean, he looked really good with the Vikings last year. All of a sudden, Seattle comes calling. They say, "Hey, we'll pay you $100 million to come be our quarterback." But the Seattle defense is really the focal point of this. They have DeMarcus Lawrence, which I cannot believe he's still playing. He feels old to me, but I guess I don't know. But their defense is just so sound and so good that it's kind of proving that you don't need a top 5 quarterback in the league in order to win a Super Bowl, right? And we've seen the Chiefs be able to do it, but like you look at Jalen Hurts, he's not a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he won the Super Bowl last year. You look at Brock Purdy, who went to the Super Bowl and played against, Patrick Mahomes. He's not a top 5 quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo back in 2020. He wasn't a top 5 quarterback. You're starting to see kind of the recipe of like, okay, well, it's almost like Texas Tech in a sense of like beef up your defense. Really focus on the defense. Your defense will take you there if you have a serviceable quarterback. And that's exactly what Sam Darnold is, and that's exactly what the Seahawks are doing.
It is interesting because to your point about Darnold's career path, he was just another Jet bust.
Yeah.
He was.
Absolutely.
I mean, they drafted him and it went terribly. And again, he just was kind of another one of those guys that, the Zach Wilson or any number of Jets quarterbacks who haven't worked out. And Darnold was one of those. But yeah, Carolina back and forth, didn't play very well. But then, went to San Francisco, was a part of a winning culture. And then the Vikings out of nowhere, he goes 14-3. They opt to move on from him or to not bring him back, I guess is the better way to put it. And then the Seahawks do. And I don't know, have you seen what the Seahawks were to win the Super Bowl before the season? I don't know what it was, but
like
I guarantee
20-1. Yeah,
quite the long shot. Right now, Seattle favored in the Super Bowl. In fact, this line has already moved. It opened at 3.5. Seahawks favored, and now it's 4.5. Seahawks are favored. Darnold, the odds-on favorite to win the MVP. Of course, that's mainly because the quarterback of the winning team is likely going to win the MVP, and in this case, Seahawks are projected to win.
Russell Wilson didn't win Super Bowl MVP when the Seahawks won it last time.
Well, yeah, Matt Stafford didn't win it when the Rams won it last time. So it does happen occasionally. But yeah, from an odds perspective, that's definitely the case. Any initial thoughts on the Super Bowl? Of course, we'll break that down a little bit later. But Patriots is 4.5-point dogs. Drake May is only 23 years old. He's proven himself as a top-tier quarterback in the league already. And then the Seahawks, like you said, they've got a great defense. They've got an absolute star and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Plus, they've got now just one running back, but they had a 1-2 punch. Kenneth Walker is really come to the forefront as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why the Seahawks are favored in this game, obviously. I mean, you look at the defense alone for the Seahawks with guys like Tariq Woolen, guys like Devin Witherspoon, who we saw here at Kansas when he played at Illinois, and you go, yeah, that guy's the real deal, right? I believe he picked off Jalen Daniels, and just a fantastic secondary that they have, and then the defensive line alone is just so absolutely terrifying. And the Patriots offensive line is not good, right? They do a really not a great job in terms of protecting Drake May. Drake May can do it on his legs, and whenever he gets flushed out, I think he shows really good composure, but he's going to be flushed out a lot. It's going to be, just personally, I think this is going to be like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line going up against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 55, where they were just all over Patrick Mahomes, and that's the way that I can see this one going. So it makes sense why they're favored in this game. Obviously, you have some star players. You have Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte. You have some guys for the Patriots who are really, really good. Ramondre Stevenson is a serviceable running back. But I can see why the Seahawks are certainly favored in this game. It's going to be weird, though. Just like I said, this is probably, I haven't done the numbers on this. I don't know if anybody has. Like, in terms of odds-on favorites from the beginning of the year to now, these two teams being in the Super Bowl, probably the least likely combination that we've ever seen in the Super Bowl era in terms of lines, in terms of anything that you've seen preseason. I mean, hell, if you even week one, Patriots lost to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that team who loses to the Raiders wind up in the Super Bowl? Now, congratulations to Henry Greenstein, because of the Patriots win, then you can tip your hat, or you can hang your hat on that win. But like looking at week one, you're thinking, man, no chance. Like absolutely no chance either one of these teams are going to be making the Super Bowl. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be nice to kind of watch a Super Bowl that doesn't have the Chiefs.
I guess so.
Be a little relaxing. I think we've been saying that kind of all throughout the postseason. But yeah, I mean,
but now you're also ready to get back next year.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at. I'm already diving into NFL draft stuff.
Yeah, Sundays aren't quite as fun, even though it is a little bit of a break. But I mean, it's a lot. Like that's going to be the 21st game played for those teams.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, that's a lot of games, and the Chiefs have an extra 6 weeks or whatever it is to.
Also, the Patriots. I'm pretty sure they had the easiest strength of schedule, or maybe second easiest behind the Broncos.
See, and all that's going to come back
also
to
makes
you.
sense
and
too.
it's flipped for the Chiefs now in a good way, we would think, moving forward. Although the Chiefs do have to face the NFC West next year, just with how it's worked out. And
They're so good.
I can't remember the AFC division that the Chiefs get, but it's not going to be a cakewalk by any stretch. Real quick, there's one Big 12 game tonight. Big Monday officially starts. BYU now 13 in the country. As I said, they are hosting number 1 Arizona. Cougars are home dogs at +1.5. Over under is 165.5. BYU just beat Utah at home. Arizona is 7-0. Although, Dan, you look at who Arizona has beaten in Big 12 play, not to scoff at any of this, but they've got 2 wins over Utah, a home win over K-State, a home win over Arizona State, a home win over Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then they have road wins over TCU and UCF. So not nobodies, but they've got BYU twice. They've got Kansas twice. They've got Texas Tech. They've got to go to Houston. They've got Iowa State. So it's going to get a lot more difficult for Arizona as well. Do they fall tonight in Provo?
I think this is a nightmare situation for Kansas fans because if BYU loses this game close, then they're going to come out in Lawrence really fired up. If they win this game, then they're going to beat the number 1 team in the nation. They're going to be fired up as well. I think BYU pulls this off, and I think they do beat Arizona, handing them their first loss of the season.
I think it's a plus for Kansas that they get a chance to watch and don't have to worry about a midweek game.
True.
Hopefully that helps, but we'll find out Saturday at 3:30 when the ball goes up. That's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports today. Shout out to Elijah Schmidt running the operations as always. We'll be back on air tomorrow from 4 to 6. Appreciate everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube as well. Give us a like and a subscription. We really appreciate it. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying we'll see you tomorrow. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.